I'm going to go line by line and do each line separately now so that you can pay attention to the specific line that you're going to recite, because you have to pick one of those lines and recite it and then post that video or audio clip. You have to record yourself reciting it, either video or audio, and then you're going to post that to Cougar Courses. And that is a required summative assessment. So you got to do your best to get the words right. You don't have that many in each line, so okay. So let's start with line 1. Line 1 is What we gardena in yardegum. What is like listen, pay attention. It eventually becomes our modern word what. You can see the H and the W switch places, and the ash becomes an A, and the T stays the same. But at this point, it functions as a way for the poet to get the attention of the rowdy warriors who are in the mead hall. It's like, what? Like, hey, pay attention to me, I'm about to tell a story. And then he starts the story, right? He's going to say who the story is about. The story is about we Gardena. We, the spear Danes, the Gardanes. So Gar means spear. So they're spear Danes or warriors, right? And then in Yardegum, so in is in, and Yardegum is in the days of yore, right? Like yar, that word yar, yar. That's the word yore, essentially. So literally it's like your days, in the days of yore. Line 1. What we gardena in Yardegum. Line 2. Theod Köninga Thrym Jefrunan. So Theod, that first part of that first word there is like clan or people. And König, we're going to see again, it's a word that means king. It's the last word in this opening prologue. And there's a little A stuck on the end of it. And so it is the word king, and there's a little A stuck on the end. And the A shows us that Theod Kön, like people king, Theod König, is the object of the phrase. So it's like of the clan kings. Theod Köninga. Weird like that. Thrym is glory, and Jefrunan is to hear about. So we, the spear dames in the old days, heard about, right, the glory of these kings of people. We heard about it. Theod Köninga, Thrym Jefrunan. That's line 2. Line 3, what did we hear? Who tha ethelingas Ellen Fremedon. What we heard is who, this first word, who, is how. Tha is T-H-A, so it's those. Ethelingas is nobility or elites, aristocrats. How they, Ellen is noble deeds, and Fremedon is to perform or accomplish. So how these nobles accomplished or performed great deeds. Who tha ethelingas Ellen Fremedon. Line 3. So line 4, oft, shield, chafing, sheathana threatum. Oft is often. This is something that isn't super far away. We can recognize that. Shield, chafing. Shield is shield, but in this case, it's a man's name. Shield chafing. Chafing is the son of Shafe. Shield Shafe's son. So this is a guy. Shield, this guy. Often this guy, Shield, Sheathana, is bad people or antagonists or enemies. And threatum, threat or threat, is the root word there, and that's armies or hosts. So a threat is a bunch of armies or hosts. And this little UM just tells us more information about the word threat. The shield chafing guy with these bad people, these hosts of armies of bad people or threats, that's what line 4 tells us. So oft shield chafing, sheathana threatum. What's he going to do? Well, let's find out in line 5. In line 5, monigum megthum meodosetla oftea. So monigum is many, and magthum is peoples or tribes. Monigum megthum. Meodosetla, the beginning of this meodo is the same word essentially as mead, medu, that we saw earlier, meodo. So mead, seats, setla, seats, mead, seats or mead benches, places to sit and drink mead, and then is to seize. So for many people, the mead benches seized. So from these terrible threatening human beings, many of them, he seized their mead benches. So he fought his enemies, right? Line 5, once one more time. Monigum megthum meodosetla oftea. Line 6. Eg soda eola sithen arist werth. Eg soda is to create awe in, or to cause fear in. So he caused fear in, or I've translated it terrorized over here, created awe in the earls. Eola is earls. It's pretty easy to see earl in there. Sithen is essentially the word since, but it meaning after, since. Erest is the word first, or it will become that word. And werth is like was, or to be, to exist. He made the earls live in fear of him or be awed by him. So these are the things from enemy hosts. He took mead benches. He made them be awed by him. And this was after he was first. And that's the end of line 6. So, Egso de erla, sithen erist werth. Then in line 7, after he was first, what? Feaschaft funden. Hey, thas frofra je bad. So, Feaschaft funden, this part, Feaschaft, Feaschaft, is to be destitute or helpless or like an orphan, to not have much, to come from nothing. And funden is to find. So they found him from after he was first found with nothing. So he did all these things after he was first found with nothing. And he is he, and thas is the word eventually this. It's Thas, thas, this. Frofre. So frofre is like compensation or reward, or you get your justice. Frofre, yabad, and to experience or endure. Even though he was first found helpless and destitute, he knew compensation for that in the form of what we're going to learn in line 8. So, Feaschaft funden, he thas frofre yabad. Line 8, weax under woknum, werth mindum tha. Weax is the word that becomes wax, to wax, which is to grow. You wax, something waxes, it grows, and it wanes, it lessens. So this is that word wax. Under is under. Woknum is clouds or skies or heavens. So he grew under the heavens. He grew greater under the clouds. Werth mindum is one of the kennings I showed you earlier. So it's werth is worth, and mindum is mind, of mind. So worth of mind, or like honor. It's a kind of kenning for honor. And tha is like then or at that time. Werth mindum tha. So weax under woknum, werth mindum tha. Line 8. So in line 9, he waxed under the clouds, he got honors until, and here we come to line 9. Oth fat him e whilch thara im sitendra. So the first part, oth fat, is there are two words, but it's a phrase that goes together that means until, or until then, until that moment. He grew and waxed under the clouds and the skies until, and him is the word him, like to him. So until to him. E whilch is each, all, every, each tribe, all of the tribes, right? All of, and then thara is of those, right? Of those, all, each of those, or all of those. And then this word imb sitendra. Imb is around, and sitten is to sit. So this is literally the around sitting tribes. Till each of the around sitting tribes, oth fat him e whilch thara im sitendra. Until each of the tribes had to do what? So that's what we find out in line 10. Ofar hronrade huren shoulder. So ofar is over. Ofar hronrada. Hronrada is another kenning. Hron is whale. Rad is road. Whale road. What is a whale road? Where do the whales travel? That's right, in the ocean. And Huron is followers or servants or dependents or colonized people. Shoulda is should, but in the sense of must. So they had to become colonized peoples or servants. They were forced to do that. And then that shoulda, we keep it into the next line. So overhrondrade Huron shoulda, line 10. And then finally, line 11. Gomban Gildan. That was good, König. The shoulder of the Huron also connects with Gomban Gildan. They had to, they should, they must submit, become servants, and then also provide tribute, Gomban, that was gilded or gold. They had to, they should, they must provide gold tribute until all of the tribes around him had to submit to him and pay him tribute. Then the next thing that we learn after we learn that he colonized all the people around him is that was. You can see that, T-H-A-T, was, W-A-S. Good is good. That was good king. That was a good king. Gomban Gildan. That was good cunning. I forgot you were there. You scared me. No. You're absolutely right. You're right. The poet does say, you are a good king. In fact, the phrase, that was good König, that you see in line 11, appears 3 different times in the poem Beowulf. We see it once here at the end of the prologue to Beowulf, and we'll see it 2 more times as we go throughout the text. So pay attention to who the poet labels as a good king, especially given the fact that the poem opens with a description of what then the poet says is a good king. Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. The opening of the poem actually features a description and summary of a great aristocratic ancestor, someone who we learn immediately at the end of that passage is a good king. So based on this 11-line summary, we can start to see what makes a good king for this poem already at the beginning. And Beowulf, do you want to tell me what you think it is? Oh, okay. Yeah, let's hear your answer. Ich am Beowulf. Yeah. Exactly. Aggressive colonizing behavior toward the neighbors. Ich am Beowulf. Yep. He ambushed their enemies. He took their material goods. I mentioned in another lecture that Anglo-Saxons were materialist. So hence the focus on paying tribute, on taking their material items and wrecking their mead benches. Right, good point. He began as it was a rags to riches story. He began with nothing and then moved to become king of all of the neighboring tribes. Exactly. He wasn't just king of his own people. He was king of everyone else. So all of these things are part of what makes a good king. Beowulf! Yeah, no, you're right, Beowulf. You also did a lot of those same things. That's a fair point. But there are also additional lines besides those first 11 that talk about shield chafing. The first 85 lines or so actually talk about shield chafing before we're introduced to Hrothgar's world, right? There are other things that shield chafing does as an Anglo-Saxon king. So we see how he becomes king in this part, but then we get some description over the rest of the prologue of what he does as king and what happens when he dies. So this is all backdrop for the story about how Hrothgar and Beowulf interact with each other in the wake of the threat that Hrothgar faces. And if you don't know what that threat is yet, I'm not going to spoil it for you. So as we go through the poem, I want you to think about what good kingship means. If good kingship is somehow different from good warriorship. Do a warrior and a king have the exact same responsibilities, or do they have a different set of responsibilities? Beowulf. Well, I'm not surprised to hear you say that, Beowulf. We all know how you feel about the whole warrior versus king debate. I know. What can I say? Ich am Beowulf. That was good, Gary.